win too. I would.
NHL Nightly with your host, the sports, a.k.a. Peter Lebowski, a.k.a. Jeremiah Maxwell. And with him, as always, maybe Pearlo, Wisdom, and Rico and Barry.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, let me get this turned down. Sorry. So we're not hearing to apologize. Anyway, Karma, man, the hockey gods will get you. You get over on the hockey gods, and they will get you. That uncalled McDavid elbow that everybody was making a lot of excuses for today. I'm loving that Colorado's giving Edmonton a hard time tonight.
There was very little chance that Edmonton was winning that game. I should have way more money on that game.
Right, but Colorado is not healthy. They don't have Nichushkin in the lineup. They don't have Landeskog.
It was a bad spot for
Edmonton. No, well, we're not apologizing for Edmonton. We're saying that Colorado is a better team. And I don't care if Edmonton's on a back-to-back or if they have 3 days full of rest. This is Colorado saying we're a better team. And they are. Yeah. Without question.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Where's the light coming from behind you, my man?
Yeah, it's a good question. I never had that problem before. Let me move my...
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll figure it out. I don't know, but like you're blinding people on the screen. So, yeah. So I didn't have anything from the day. There were so many good games on. Rico, just give us a breakdown. Did you watch the Leafs? Because you were off. I'm assuming you watched them. Hey, Sod. Looks like your Vancouver's getting stomped right now too by the Kings 3-0. So.
Good. I have the Kings.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, no, I would have picked the Kings too. Vancouver's a dumpster fire right now. They're not been good.
And missing the playoffs, like I said.
Ooh, I don't know about that, but still, yeah. I mean, they're gonna be fighting. I just think the problem is Pearlo. Who's gonna take it from them? In the West,
you can have 5 teams from
the Central.
Central, yeah.
Who's the okay? So. We know Winnipeg,
Colorado,
and Minnesota are the top 3. They're going to be the top 3 from the Central. Easy.
Yeah.
So who are the other 2 teams? I just don't see it, man.
St. Louis.
I think St. Louis I'll give you because I think they could be in it. They had a good win today too. But here, let me just look at
real quick. NHL. If you saw my late night tweet, I put out a Turcotte goal prop plus 490 on the top line. He hit one 51 seconds in, then he banged another one in.
Yeah,
I put that on Twitter. I thought you guys saw it.
No,
I just saw it before we got on.
Oh,
I just saw it before we got.
Oh man, don't I have? Oh yeah. Rico hit a goal scoring prop. Nice. Anyway, congrats, Rico. That is sick, man. Rico is on a heater. That's 2 in a row that he's hit a goal scoring prop on. Now, that one wasn't in my video, but Rico, who did you have? You have Kiviranta for Avalanche. He's with the Avs, correct?
Yeah, Hedl, Coronado, and Kiviranta.
Okay. And that Flames game is still going, is it not?
Yeah,
there's 3 minutes left. It's 4-1, so you could still hit any of those. Who scored for Flames?
Kaliev and Panarin.
Sharangovich. Sharangovich, yeah. Your goal scorers are Cairo, Shin, and Pareko for the Blues. Man, I could not believe that the Jets won that with like 27 seconds left. Seattle is bad. So that's what I'm saying.
It didn't go into overtime? That was in regulation? Nice.
That was regulation, yes. Sweet. Yes. Yes. Yeah, Pearlo, I said with 27 seconds left to go in the game, it doesn't get to overtime.
You said 27
It doesn't get to overtime.
overtime.
It doesn't get to overtime.
Perfect.
Okay.
That's good.
All right. So right now in the West, Golden Knights, Oilers, Kings. I don't think that's going to change. The Oilers have literally gained 0 ground on the Golden Knights, and they've won 3 in a row. So, and then the Avalanche, Flames. Right now, the Flames are above the Canucks. Okay, so the Flames aren't going anywhere. I don't think the Blues are going anywhere, and I think the Utah Hockey Club is going to be there. But Ducks, Kraken, Preds, Sharks, Blackhawks, none of them are making the playoffs. We all can agree on this, right? Those teams are dead. I think the West bottom half are more like, although I'll say I thought Anaheim played a hell of a game tonight against Tampa Bay. That was a great game that went to a shootout, by the way. I buried the lead, and I had said yesterday I thought Ottawa would win. Pearlo was on the Senators. Rico, were you on the Sens too? Or did you?
Yeah, and you know what? It took them to the last moment to announce their goalie starter tonight too. So I was looking, I'm like, hey, Logan Thompson was in. That at that point, I knew it was going to be an under game.
Yeah. Okay. So before we get into it, because I want to talk about what I witnessed tonight, and it was another night of NHL history for Alexander Ovechkin. But before I go into my thing, Rico, just talk through the Leaf game, man, because I watched a little bit of it, but I didn't get to watch it closely. Every time I looked up, though, the score was changing. I just had there's so many games on. It's tough sometimes. So Mama must be home.
No, it was good, man. The big boys showed up. Marner, Matthews, Nylander, like they were the top 3 stars on the Leafs. So, I mean, it was nice to have Jake McCabe back too. Him and Tanev, such a good pair. They're playing like 23 minutes a night, those guys.
Kipper and Bourne had a stat today about them with Jake McCabe in the lineup. It was like alarming. Like that, he's like a linchpin for that team right now. They need him. Yeah. And now the bad news too, that we kind of buried the lead. John Tavares going on LTIR. That's not good from a practice injury. And they released the video. Did you see the video?
Yeah, it was just him and Tanev battling in a power play drill, and it just didn't look like a whole lot there. But Johnny T, apparently he never skates off the ice practice. Like it was just abnormal behavior. So they knew something was going on. So they knew he was going to be out long term if he was feeling like that. So, I mean, the game tonight, it was unreal. Thing is, Ekman Larson took a couple stupid penalties, and then New Jersey scored right after. So as soon as Toronto got momentum, but Matthews buried a wicked one short side top shelf, and then Nylander gave one of the goals away on the power play. He gave Heischer a breakaway, and he basically buried it. And, I mean, it was a good game, man. It was back and forth.
Yeah.
The Leafs peppered them with over 40 shots.
This is one thing I'll say about Toronto that I liked, is it did seem like every time I looked, they were tying it up and then getting down almost immediately right after that. But the old Leafs team would have folded like a cheap 10. And the fact that they battled back like 3 times in this game and then won in overtime. And they were on like a 4-game losing streak too. So that was I thought you saw the effort you needed to get out of a losing streak. Montreal just scored on an empty net, by the way. They're up 3-1 on Dallas. That game is going to go final. So, I mean, just any other observations? I also think if they can get a guy to play with Domi and get Domi on the top 6 somehow and get him going, you know, I loved what I heard from Berube about he just needs to get pucks to the net and use his speed and saying good things. So, like
Domi plays good with Nylander too. Like he sauced him a nice one.
It needs to be with skill. Yeah, it needs to be with skill. So he had a point. He had a point tonight
to get a proper third liner is what I would say.
Well, the nice thing about Domi too, he when he actually shoots the puck, he has a great shot. Yeah, the Red Wings won again too. Salty, what's up? Let's hope your Avs also win. It's good to see you, by the way, Salty. Where you been, man? This is the first time we've had Salty in the chat for a while. Yeah, Habs win plus 190. Were you on that, Avi? All right. Yes, I think you were. All right. Sweet, man. This will be a little bit more of a. So, any more on the Leaf game before I break down the Ottawa Senators Washington Capitals game?
No, man, it was an exciting game. It was just back and forth. The goals happened very close to each other. Like you said, Toronto scored, then New Jersey scored right after. Toronto scored, New Jersey scored right after. So, I mean, Hughes scored early into the game too. It was a bad play. I can't remember what defenseman that somebody just missed firing it out of his zone and basically gave it to Jack Hughes. And I don't watch a ton of New Jersey games, but I mean, Hughes, Heischer, Bratt, and Meyer, like those, the skill on these guys, like they're not a heavy team. They're not pounding you by any means, but if you let them in the game and you give them a little bit of time and space, those guys have so much skill. It's unreal. And Markstrom's such a good goaltender too. So, I mean, I could see New Jersey making a run in the playoffs. They might pick somebody up at the deadline. It'd be interesting to see what they do.
Pearlo, what game did you watch? And I'm gonna pop off for a sec, guys.
Okay. Geez, I watched them all as much as I could. I'm really impressed. What I'm really impressed with is, like we were talking earlier today when we were talking in the afternoon, that Columbus didn't look ahead at all on that San Jose game. So, like to me that was pretty impressive, because even the best of teams will do that in that spot, and they didn't look ahead at all. So. That's a lot of discipline, and that's a lot of character in a room, and a great coach to get them to play the way they did against San Jose. And they look confident as hell. They look so confident in that game. Watch them. They're going to play the Rangers after this. The Rangers are coming back off a road trip. I'm taking Columbus all day on that. And I was also impressed, and we were talking too, and you were right. McClellan got Detroit up after that San Jose loss, and they took it to Florida. I mean, that is very impressive to be able to do that.
Yeah, I would not bet against the Red Wings right now, dude. They look good. They're just playing good.
I didn't bet
Patrick
against
Kane
them.
Looks like he is back. Patrick Kane looks like he is back. Did he have a hat trick tonight? I think he had a pretty good night tonight. Macklin had a point tonight. Yeah. I thought
they got Marco Kasper on the first line too, so they're spreading it out. They're not loading up that top line, Detroit. They're trying to just find a mix throughout the whole lineup there. So they're moving that Kasper kid up front, then they're putting Kopp in the second line, Tarasenko down on the third. So they're just trying to get.
So that was a doubleheader today on ESPN. On ESPN, they had that game. Defending Cup champs Florida Panthers host Detroit Red Wings. Detroit makes it and Detroit's a big number in the States. They have a huge fan base. They're like the Leafs of the US, I think. I think there's a lot of Pittsburgh fans and stuff too, but I think Detroit, if you ask me what the dominant team that people root for in the States, it's Detroit, because everybody from Detroit's a Detroit Red Wings fan, and they all left Detroit, but everybody that's still there, but I just say they're one of the better traveling fan bases too. You will always see a bunch of Red Wings jerseys in away games, especially on the West Coast. So, they have a huge freaking fan base. I think more than the Hawks. I think more than the Kings, even though they're in a smaller
market.
Be.
I mean, it's the Motor City, right? It was a booming city with the automotive industry and stuff.
But their original six, Rico.
Everybody kind of moved away. Yeah, true.
Yeah, but their original six, so they've been around since the start. So I know the Blackhawks are there. It's probably 1A, 1B Blackhawks and Red Wings, and I know the Red Wings haven't had a ton of success as of late, but
I mean, Florida put on 43 shots and Detroit only got 20.
Florida didn't look bad. They just I think they got an empty net or two, but I just felt like they got some good. They just made their opportunities count.
Talbot just had a night, man. Talbot had a night. I watched that game.
Yeah, Bob's been off too, man. He's not had a great save percentage in his last
especially
few games. They need to rest him a little bit more, and Spencer Knight's got to take a little bit more of the load, I think. I think it's just starting to catch up to Bob. He's played a lot of hockey. The Avalanche
had 3 goals and 6 shots. They only had 6 shots in the period.
Dude, it didn't matter, and I don't care. I know Edmonton always dominates the puck possession because McDavid can skate around. Let him skate around all day. If they're not getting the puck inside, I don't understand. What Edmonton does is so not complicated. Why is it hard for teams to stop them? It makes no sense to me. I'm like, he's going to come straight at you and then throw the puck over to Draisaitl, and he's going to have 3/4 of the net to shoot. I could make that shot. I'm just saying, like, they've got to play that differently. It's not hard. It's 2-on-1 basically. They just everybody like converges on McDavid. I'm like, what are you doing? Just keep one guy on McDavid, and then let your other guys cover the inside. I don't know.
It's the one guy on McDavid part that's the problem.
But that's not really a problem.
They are putting one guy on McDavid.
There are plenty of guys that can hang with him.
McDavid takes out that one guy.
But
There's
I'm telling you,
guys that can hang with McDavid in the offensive zone.
Yes, but I get it.
It's like saying McKinnon's going to go and he's going to go around the defenseman and he's going to score.
Well, McKinnon's the guy right there that can hang with McDavid. McKinnon can hang with McDavid, no question in my mind.
But what I'm saying is,
I'm just saying, Quentin Byfield can hang with McDavid.
McKinnon makes the same move most of the time, and nobody can stop him. McDavid, it's just not many people, nobody can really stop him, even though they know what he's going to do. Wayne Gretzky used to do the same stuff all the time, too.
No, I got you. I'm just saying it's not complicated what they do.
No, it's not. It's just McDavid is so good that they get away with it.
No, he's good. And they're playing, in fairness to Edmonton, too, they're playing very good defensively. It's fine. I start mentioning that, though.
Yeah.
That's what's going to keep them in the win column. But again, if you're an Edmonton fan, you got to be pulling your freaking hair out because you haven't gained an ounce on the standings. The Kings are going to win tonight. They're dominating this game 3-0 in Vancouver, man. Vancouver's going to be a bottom 5 team, I think. And you know what? It may not hurt them. And I don't think they should move Pettersson or Miller this year. They got to figure that out in the offseason because you got to make it work for yourself. You got to get something good back for Elias Pettersson if you're trading.
You traded Miller if you trade anybody, but we'll see.
Yeah. I don't think they want to trade Miller. I think Pettersson's the guy they want to trade. I think they're going to regret that contract. I think we all
what's going on with Malkin's? What's going on with Malkin's rings? So they find him. Is this a Marc-Andre Fleury like prank gone wrong, or did he just misplace him some night? Or
no, the stuff I'm reading is like there's an FBI task force investigating these robbers that have been hitting like high profile athletes. They think it's the same like group of people.
But they robbed his house, but they couldn't find his rings, or they just didn't take his rings. Okay,
so they said his rings were missing, not stolen. So maybe his kid took them. I don't know. Or they stole them. I mean, to me, a championship ring with a dude's name on it is the dumbest thing you could take because how are you going to sell it? The only way you could sell it is on the black market to like a really diehard. It's a very niche thing. It would almost be like someone hired them to get his Stanley Cup rings because they wanted them.
The only reason why you take them probably is you didn't know they were Stanley. You don't know anything about hockey. They just look like really.
Well, any championship ring though, like if it was a Super Bowl ring or like anything that has, especially Stanley Cup ring, it has your name, your position, the cup. It's like, oh, you're Evgeny Malkin? Yes, sir, I am. Remember those beer commercials? Like, I'm just saying, like, are you Dr. Galakowitz? Yes. Yes.
Just imagine trying to go to a jewelry store.
You mean Dr. Galakowitz? Yes.
Just imagine going to a jewelry store and you don't know it's a Stanley Cup ring and the guy looks at it.
Well, no, I mean, it's going to come up stolen. It's not like they don't have photographs. Like you could go online and look at all the Stanley Cup rings and all the detail. You don't even have to be police to go. No, you also could get replicas made. So he could say, oh, these are replicas, but that only like, I think replicas are worth like 10% of what I think you can buy a replica for like $150 and a Stanley Cup ring is probably what, $100,000 worth of, I'm guessing it's around that kind of, I'm guessing, I mean, depending on the player, but I'm assuming a Super Bowl ring, a Stanley Cup ring is somewhere in the value of about 40 to 50 grand, depending on the player. So if Evgeny Malkin, his rings would be worth, in excess of, I would say you could probably get like there might be somebody that cough $1 million up for Geno Malkin's rings. You know what I'm saying?
Possibly.
Yeah. The type of player he was. I mean, even like, what if there's a Russian super fan that's like really rich? You know, if that went to auction, I'd be really interested to see what they would go for. Put it in the chat what you guys think. Yeah, no, Sod, for sure this Canucks can come back for sure, but they've had a rough year, man. It's almost like let's reset. Every year, we say this every time at the beginning of the year when we do our predictions. 6 or 7 teams that made the playoffs don't make it. The previous year, I can't remember the numbers. I might be confusing it with football, but anyway, I know it's, you know, there hasn't been a year where the same teams make it consecutively ever since they expanded to 32 teams. It's just too much parity. And if you have a rough start to the season, this is why these hockey games matter so much. This is why you got to watch and pay attention to what's going on, because he's like the Rangers, they went through that really rough patch. They're playing fine now. They look okay. They're not playing terrible. They're out of this Utah game, but Utah is a good team. They're going to compete. I watched Saravelli's interview with Bill Armstrong, and man, I think they're going to make moves to add. I think they've got a lot. They've got like a glut of like unsigned talent that they need to kind of excuse the term, shit or get off the pot. So they've got to do something there. So I think they're going to add, and they're getting Connor Ingram back. Vemelka's been really good for them. They're beating the Rangers tonight 3-2. It's 5-on-3 for the Rangers here. Or they did have a 5-on-3.
I hope you're right, because I picked them to make the playoffs this year.
I think they're going to.
I still think they can, and that's why I think Vancouver's going to fall off. Utah's going to make it, and St. Louis is going to.
Vancouver's out right now. I still think Calgary is going to fall off too. Almost, if you're a Calgary fan, you kind of don't want to make the playoffs. I think I remember the year Washington was kind of struggling, and the fans were like, "No, just trade and let's do over," and they did, and we were able to get some talent. And this last draft was impressive. We had Latvia's number 1 center, Andrew Cristall. I think he leads the WHL in points, or he's up there. He's in the top 3. He had 7 points in his first game, getting traded from the Kelowna Rockets to the Spokane Chiefs. Go Chiefs! Anyway, that's my team, man. My Western Hockey League team. If I build a pro, he's a WHLer. Yeah, Cole Hudson, Salty. Not to mention Ryan Leonard, which I talk. Okay, so Capitals, Ottawa Senators was a defensive battle. The Caps didn't play terrible, but just Ottawa did you got to give the other team credit. It was just a pretty balanced game, not a ton of scoring chances. I thought it was maybe really warm in Ottawa. It felt like the ice was a little choppy and the pucks were jumping all over the place. Nobody could really get any clean anything. I just think defense was well too. I mean, everybody played good. Ottawa really didn't play poorly. Caps had some chances. I think Ovi had a 2-on-1 real early in the game, and he kind of flubbed it. So he was really mad because that should have been a goal. And I kept thinking, oh man, Ovi could have just had a goal and it would have been good even if we lose this game. And but some of Ottawa's more dangerous players, I was expecting to hear Batherson's name a lot. Didn't hear his name a lot. Stützle was around the puck. I don't know. Dubois did a really good job, man. He was great tonight. He was all over the ice. I was really impressed with his game. And it goes scoreless, gets to overtime. Ottawa has about 2 minutes to end it. They spent some time in the Cap zone. Caps were able to get it, change up. Protoss working real hard. They get the line out. Ottawa kind of gets possession again after a couple Capsules scoring chances. Bang, bang, boom. Turnover. Up the ice. Alexander Ovechkin 2-on-1 breakaway with Rasmus Sandin. Rasmus sauces one. Ovi beats the goalie. Top shelf, short side, right over his glove. Boom. Breaks the record for scoring on most goalies. He was tied with Jaromir Jagr, and he's now scored on 179 separate goalies. He's 21 away from passing the great one. It's happening. And I said I thought he was going to get to 40 easily this year and break this record, because I believe the stick drama from last year was real, and I think it threw his game off early. And when he finally found what he was looking for, he he's not missed a beat. He's been on basically this tear since the second half of last season. And I was kind of when he got his stick right. Thanks again to Sammy Silber for covering that story. Got to have her on again. She's doing a podcast too, by the way. So I'll shout that out. I'll put that in the details. So give her a listen if you're interested in Caps. Oh, I think Edmonton just scored a goal. So it's 3-2.
Probably they've been dominating.
Yeah. Yeah, they look after they got down 3-0, they weren't panicking or anything. I'm just saying, like now that Colorado has goaltending, watch out, man. No. Oh, I bet Kiefer was not happy. Looks they showed Keefe. There was a pretty controversial play in this Philly Islanders game where that Siflikov kid like destroyed Ryan Poehling, but I thought it was a clean hit. And they didn't call a penalty. They reviewed it, which is what you should do when a guy ends up on the ice. Just review it for a major. And if it's not a penalty, you can say it's not a penalty. By the way, in our intro, we have a little bit of a cutout that may or may not be the birth date of this goal. This is the simply sensational goal that Alexander Ovechkin scored in the desert on Brian Boucher anniversary. 19 years ago today, that goal was scored. So if you're big on that, pretty cool. So Rico, we've got 6 Sleeman clear tall boys with your name on them. John Witt. What's a Sleeman?
Oh, yeah. John Witt. I work with him.
Oh, and, nice.
I got him to jump in my football pool this year for the first time. So I just started a new job. He's an awesome kid. So yeah, and he's like dominating, and he's won the first week of the playoffs, and he's probably gonna win the whole damn thing. I'm like,
all right.
This guy just joined the football pool, so it's like.
I took second.
Yeah, he called every spread. He called every spread except for the mini LA Rams game.
Oh, you guys did picks. Sweet.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
We did. I played fantasy, but I don't know if I want to do it again, to be honest with you.
I'm not fantasy. I'll just do the sports betting every week or whatever. Just take your certain picks and touchdown scores like he does, like John does too and stuff. But to go in a year-long fantasy thing where you got to change rosters and put guys in and out and stuff and follow if I didn't have a job and I was capping NHL, I'd probably do it with NHL fantasy because you know who's in, who's out, who's hot, and like just right down to the shots on goal stuff and everything.
Yeah, it would be cool if you could kind of pick and choose. Like, I don't know. It would be very in-depth, I guess. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Well, Colorado. Oh, man. Colorado almost scored. Yeah, I think if Colorado gets to 4, they got this in the bag. But they can't let Edmonton. They already have kind of let Edmonton get back into it. So,
Beard, I took the Mike Johnson TSN parlay before the game started. They do their bets because they have affiliated bets and that. So when he's standing between the benches and there's like, okay, like what's your parlay? He had a Jesper Bratt point because Bratt always gets a point against Toronto. He had an Austin Matthews goal because Matthews now has 21 goals in 21 games against the Devils. But then he had under 6.5. So I parlayed those 3 and I got wicked odds and I put a few shackles on it. But then Matthews scored the tying goal to make it 3-3. So I knew the game was going to go over 6.5, but the Leafs ended up tying it. So I was like, God. Okay.
Yeah. It was good.
But it was looking good for a while.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Nice that you got to win. Yeah. So that was kind of the summation of the, Alexander, if you check my Twitter, I tweeted out kind of my reaction to the goal. So I was fucking jumping up and down. I ain't gonna lie. I was like a little kid fucking, you've got to be kidding me. Cause if you asked me, did Ottawa play good enough to win? Sure. But I felt like the Caps played really well too. So it was just like, you kind of wanted to tip your hat to either team at the end. It was a great game. There wasn't any real controversy. There was some physicality to it though. Ottawa played great and they deserved probably a better fate, but I just love that Ovi breaks the record overtime, gets another overtime goal. I think he has the most game-winning goals in NHL history already. He's had that one for a long time. That's like the first record I think he ever broke. And then, for him to break the 100, he was tied with Yogs for scoring on different goalies. And that doesn't take away anything from Yogs, who had already been in the Hall of Fame. I believe this is his last year. If Ovi does one more, do you think they do special exemption and Yogs and Ovi get in at the same time? Are you kidding me? I can't wait to be at that Hall of Fame induction. I will be there. Yogs, my wife will probably want to go to the Yager. He's her favorite player of all time, so loves him. He was dominant with the Rangers as their captain, so she just loves him. It's like Matt Sundin for you guys, He didn't win a cup, but he's just and Yager has a couple with Penguins, so it was not a big deal, but it would have been cool to see him win one with the Rangers. I felt like he kind of deserved it. I thought he was a great captain.
In the Eastern Conference in the early 90s, before Messier went over and Gretzky went over, Yager and Lemieux were the two best players in the East. Gretzky was playing in LA after Edmonton, so he didn't come over to the Eastern Conference till the end of his career. And Messier didn't come over till the early 90s, I think. So, it was Yager and it was Lemieux. And then when Lemieux was slowing down a little bit, Yager took over that team.
92, I think, Messier. Yeah. My wife said, your wife will be there for Yager's retirement, Sarah, when he goes in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Yeah, because she missed Henrik Lundqvist, she gets a chance to go. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'll make sure I get the time off, man.
By the way, Jeff Merrick had Doug McClain on, and I love Doug McClain. I woke up in a bad mood. Connor McDavid, elbowed me in my sleep last night. That was bothering me big time.
Johansson's on the IR all of a sudden. He's got an upper body injury.
Yeah, because he got hurt. Everybody's like, he dove. I go, they didn't let him go back in the game. That's the medical people. What are you doing? Why are we blaming Marcus Johansson for getting elbowed in the chin? This is what I didn't understand. People are calling him a diver. I was like, that was a dirty play by McDavid, who, by the way, has been suspended. I didn't want to go down this road, honestly. I just didn't want to. I was kind of over it. And the games were so great today, it just made me forget. They should have fined him if they didn't call the penalty. And I'm not saying a fight, just $1,000 fine. Dude, that was a penalty. You got away with it. They fined Kempe for that slew foot. He has no history of anything ever. And a slew foot's pretty dangerous. But you know what? So is an elbow to the jaw. And everybody's like, he's diving. I watched Marcus Johansson come up with the Caps. I've watched that kid forever. He is not a diver. He's a tough-nosed two-way forward that's got a little bit of skill. And he's had concussion problems. So he got elbowed in the jaw, which you cannot fucking tell me was not, again, I didn't want to go down this road. I'm swearing. McDavid is the greatest player on the ice right now. Yes? Yes, guys? Yes? Okay. He's the best skater. He is in total control of his body at all times. I've never seen that guy out of control. He did that shit 1,000,000% on purpose. He should have been given a 2-minute minor for elbowing, but they should have reviewed that as a major. And I would have been okay with him getting a major in a game, to be honest with you, because as we just learned, Marcus Johansson is on the IR now, a guy who's had concussion problems.
Okay, but there's no motive there, though.
Are these
no motive?
Rico, what are you doing? What are you doing?
No. Do you think McDavid meant to do it?
Yes, I think he meant to do it.
I don't think he meant to do it. I don't know. It's hard to say, but you know what? It doesn't matter.
I hear your side here. I hear your side, but I think he might have braced himself because he saw a guy come down because he just turned his head.
People's minds, and he put his elbow and hit him in the chin. I agree with. I can't read his mind, but I do know. I'm looking at it now, and he definitely moved his elbow, and he definitely hit him. I can't read his mind, but that's it. That's not good.
I thought it was dirty. Yeah, and everybody was talking about the narrative today was sickening on the radio for me, honestly, because everybody was like, "Oh, it's not a penalty. It's not a big deal." Oh, even Kipper said they should fine him because and it doesn't have to be 5,000 is the maximum fine, by the way. I'm not even asking for that. I'm saying
good with the fine.
$1,000 fine. McDavid, you've been suspended before. That was a dirty elbow. Whether you meant it on purpose or not, it should have been fined. You're going to fine. I don't have a problem. By the way, I support Kempe getting fined, who had no previous
that was worse,
for the slew foot.
Kempe was worse.
Okay. Really, though, Rico, now that this guy's out, is McDavid out? Did he get hurt? Oh, slew foots are dangerous. I hear you. Oh, you know what else is dangerous? Elbowing a guy in the bleeping head.
For sure. No, I get the fine.
This is a thing.
I get fine. But I don't think McDavid's out there trying to elbow people just like Kempe's not slew footing people.
I'm not even asking for McDavid to be suspended. He should have got a fine because he could plausibly deny that he didn't do it on purpose. But I'm just saying it looked intentional. He should have been given a penalty. Okay, I got into with original Burnsy today because all the hockey I love is gone. Then I go, well, I guess it is. But I'm saying like this to call the guy a diver to defend the guy who got knocked out of the game.
I didn't call him a diver.
I'm not talking to you, Rico. I'm talking about the reaction I saw on the radio from people from morning cup of coffee, cup of hockey, to Yaremchuk and Frank at noon, to Kipper and Bourne. Everybody made, except for Sammy McKee, who had the balls to call it dirty, exactly what it was, because nobody wants to offend Canadian Jesus, Connor McJesus. He can do no wrong, even though dude's been suspended for a legal elbow to the head in his career for 2 games on Nick Leddy. Go back and look it up. Rangers just tied at 3-3. So,
was it Hedl? Was it Hedl?
No, Riley Smith, I think.
Riley Smith.
Riley Smith. He's actually, you know what? I got to be honest with you. He's played well for the Rangers. In the games I've watched, he's been noticeably good, in my opinion. And I would love to hear.
Hedl's great, man.
No. It's not Hedl.
So
Riley Smith. I'm talking about Riley Smith, who just scored the tying
goal. Riley Smith.
I never said Hedl. Hedl did not enter my name. You guys said Hedl to me. No, you guys said Hedl to me. I said I was talking about Riley Smith, who tied the tying goal.
And if the Rangers happen to fall out of the playoffs, which I think they're going to make a run back in, I think the Rangers are going to make the playoffs. But for some reason they don't. Riley Smith will get plucked away back to the Golden Knights in no time. But I think the Rangers are going to make the playoffs, Scarby. Don't worry.
I think they could. I think so. Well, just to finish the point on the McDavid elbow, which I didn't even want to talk about tonight because I was having a good night.
I didn't know you were dealing with it all day.
I just did. Oh, and pissed me off because people were blaming the victim. They were victim blaming. They were saying, it's a dive, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't that bad. He just grazed him. He had his chin hair, I heard from Justin Bourne. Oh, yeah? What if that was your son, Justin? And he got concussed, and everybody was calling him a diver instead of a guy who was a victim of a vicious elbow to the jaw. Whether McDavid did it on purpose is not the point. It's a penalty. It was uncalled, and it should have been a fine. And they should send a message that it doesn't matter if you're Connor McDavid. I'm not saying give him a suspension. He doesn't have to get a suspension. Like I said, he can plausibly deny all day long. I don't think he did it maliciously, but I think he did it on purpose. I think he was trying to get him good, and he got him good.
Why would he try to get Johansson? I'm not sure. Johansson's one of the most lovable guys in the league.
Yeah,
I watched it. I think he did it on purpose, and I think he deserves a game for that.
Well,
this is the first. By the way, can I talk now? This is the first time I've watched it. I haven't watched it at all.
You didn't watch the game? Oh, you didn't. You can't watch it.
And I think he did it on purpose, and I think he deserves a game for that. He put his elbow right out. Like it wasn't like his elbow.
He chicken winged. He didn't even have his elbow out. It made no sense.
Yeah, he didn't, but he did.
This is my thing. You have the best player in the world, who's arguably one of the best skaters in the world on the surface of ice. He's totally in control of his body there. He could have avoided contact with Marcus Johansson. He wasn't even pressing him. The puck wasn't freaking there. So again, I mean, I don't understand. We were victim blaming Marcus Johansson all day. I said it's unacceptable to blame the guy who took the shot in the chin because of who the perpetrator was. And that's what I saw all day. I didn't want to get into it, but it was an absolute travesty. You have a guy who got hit in the freaking head, and he's being blamed for making he shows a sell job. Do you know? Were you there when the fastest skater in the NHL stuck out his elbow and hit you in the jaw? How your head would react to it? You don't. Oh, by the way, you happen to be on ice. Like, come on. I'm so sick of this. People are calling stuff that looks legit dives. I'm sorry. That was a hit to the jaw. I mean, it would probably have knocked me out. And I'm 6 foot 225. I could body a McDavid. I wouldn't be afraid. So I'm just saying that could have knocked me out.
Sorry to bring it up. I didn't know you were dealing with it.
Yeah, I didn't even want to get into it. That's why I was glad Colorado was stomping a muddle in their ass too. Because like I said, the hockey gods will sort it out. They'll sort it out. And you know what's going to happen? An important Edmonton Oilers is going to blow out a leg or something at a really inopportune time, like right before the playoffs. And they're not going to be able to add. And they're already stretched to the thinnest of thin cores. And this is why I believe they're not the third best team in the West. I would take Colorado, Winnipeg, depending on what Dallas adds. And I would almost take Minnesota. They beat up on Minnesota the other day, I know, but they beat up Minnesota without any of their like top three defensemen. Oh yeah, their best player, who's by far the MVP of that team, Kaprizov, didn't play. They didn't have Matt Zuccarello. They were completely depleted. So it's like, oh, Edmonton tied it. But I'm just saying.
Answer me a question, Beard. Is there a team you hate more in the West than the Oilers?
No, not right now. And I'm rooting against them now because of this whole elbow thing. I hope they fucking lose so bad. And then I hope McDavid walks to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Okay, I'm on your side. Let's go.
Yeah, Greg Wyshynski said it could still happen. You watch them. Edmonton doesn't win the cup the next 2 years. This McDavid extension won't get signed.
We don't want that to
I like
happen,
this Wyshynski guy.
You don't want that to happen. If McDavid goes to Toronto and he does that elbow, you'd hear it even worse. Everybody would be on the duck.
No, he'd actually get suspended for that one. He'd actually get suspended for that one. It would
be worse.
Nope. I firmly believe he would get suspended for it immediately just because he was a Toronto Maple Leaf. No question about it.
No,
they'd suspended Matthews for a hit. I was like, really? Okay.
Yeah.
He got a couple of games, so they would for sure. He would eat it. He would eat it.
That's hilarious. Hey, the good, polite, smart kid that does no harm in the class once in a while slips up a little bit and makes a mistake. So I mean, nobody's perfect.
Look.
No.
He said after the game he wasn't on purpose, and I hope he's okay. Okay, I don't buy it, but fine. Fine him. If they'd have fined him, it sends a message. We're watching this shit. We're not going to let people do illegal shit in games, and we're going to find guys even if it goes uncalled. I like it. Again, it didn't go called. Okay. Was it an egregious miss by the officiating crew? Abso-freaking-lutely. So if they would have gave McDavid 2 minutes, I would have been fine. I would not have cared. I still think he should have got a fine, regardless of the penalty. And yes, Sod, I have an Oilers jersey behind me. I have all the NHL teams except for Utah because this is an NHL show. And I picked the Oilers to win the Stanley Cup at the beginning of the year. So I can't be that much of a hater. And I grew up loving them. Like they had Gretzky and Messier. I'm old enough to have watched those guys. So like they were very good. You know, we heard about Wayne Gretzky from the get. You know, when I was a kid, like very young in Montana, where we did not have hockey, we knew what Wayne Gretzky was. So like you could hear their games on the radio from time to time, depending on if the ionosphere and stuff. So yeah. Anyway, I'm going to be rooting for Colorado the rest of this game for sure. And I think they will get back into it. Nate Dogg's got to be fuming. He's get going. And I believe Edmonton's going to slow way down at altitude in the third period here. So Colorado just has to
back to back.
Yeah, I mean, they jumped out to a big lead, and that's sometimes the worst thing. Especially, dude, the Oilers are always down 3-0. I've seen them come back from 3-0 is nothing to the Oilers. Especially the way they can play.
Goals on 6 shots and
yeah,
no shots.
Yeah, and I thought Blackwood was really sharp in the first. He really bailed him out on some things too. So, yeah, we got it. It's 3-3.
I don't like it because I have Colorado to win this game.
Well, but Perlo, it's early in that game. There's a lot of time left in that game. By the way, this New York Rangers Utah Hockey Club game is 3-3. That's a good game too. So
it's McDavid that scores the goal too.
What
is it? McDavid scored it. Yeah,
it's McDavid that scores a tie.
Right, but dude, I'm not saying they're going to get their hockey justice the next day. But I'm saying the hockey gods don't forget. The hockey gods don't forget. I'm just saying. You do some shit like that, the hockey gods don't forget. So whether the league doesn't want to punish...
Marcus Johansson. What has he ever done to anybody? He's only been in the league for 20 years.
He's been in a long time, man.
No.
Yeah.
He came up with a cap for it. I don't see the motive, but I also don't see why he would have put his elbow there.
He didn't have to do it. If you're telling me the most skilled skater, most controlled body on the ice ever in the history of the game didn't know what he was doing there, then he's not what you say he is.
You know what? The only thing I heard backing up McDavid the only thing I heard that somebody backed McDavid was that he just kind of turned his head. Then he saw Johansson there, and he kind of braced himself because he's like, "Oh, there's a guy in front of me real fast," and put my elbow up just so I didn't.
Again, I don't care if it's malicious or not. That shit is moot. It's still a fine and a penalty.
Absolutely, it's an elbow to the face. You caught him. You flipped him. He's out.
And the league, it looks ridiculous not doing it. And the people reporting on it, you're hypocrites. You're hypocrites. Because if that was Tom Wilson or Matt Rimpey and nothing happened to him, you guys would be losing your freaking mind. And why would that be any different to what happened to Marcus Johansson? That's what I'm saying.
And it's hockey day in Canada on Saturday. So they're like, we can't have McDavid not on hockey day in Canada.
I don't want him suspended. I don't think it deserves.
That's what I mean. So fine the guy. What's $1,000?
But how many times does a guy get hit, get injured, goes on the IR, and there's not a suspension because of it? They need to look at this again. Now that Marcus Johansson is out for a while. Yes, darkness. That was my initial, and this is Nick Kiprio's take too. If they'd have just fined him, the refs missed a penalty. First of all, they should have reviewed it for a major because that's how they could have got around it. And if they deemed it not a penalty, which again, there's no way they would have. I think if they'd have reviewed it as a major, I think he would have got a 5-minute major and been kicked out of the game. Just saying, if they'd have looked at it. I'm just saying, I think the league would have had a real, and guess what? That would have been enough for me. I don't think he even would have deserved a fine after getting a 5-minute major and kicked out of the game. Also, might have balanced the pages a little bit for a super depleted Minnesota Wild team who hung in that game with a lot of heart.
Yeah. And Johansson's not the type of guy that lays on the ice for no reason either.
I watched him for years in the Caps. He's not a diver. That guy's a really good skater. He's not a super big guy, but he's a good two-way player, not terrible. And he's also a super skilled winger.
He's in his peripheral vision. I'm sorry. That's a game.
He saw him. There's no way.
I played hockey. You see that guy coming probably a half a foot before he got there. He might have been just trying to hit him on the shoulder or something. He hit him in the head. But the fact of the matter is, there's no reason he puts his elbow out there unless he wanted to hit him. It's not like he was leaning into a turn or anything like that.
I just did not want to get into this tonight. I just felt like
that's a game misconduct. I don't care what anybody says.
I'm
sorry I brought it up.
I didn't want to even talk about it. There were so many good games on tonight. Like, it was like, whatever. Because I was disgusted with the hockey community. That's what was disgusting to me, is everybody is victim shaming Marcus Johansson, who's legit hurt. And like, people don't understand, when they take a guy back, the coaches don't just say, hey, get Mojo back out there. No, the medical people go, oh no, he has a concussion and he's not going anywhere. So they're the only ones that can keep a player from going back out on the ice. And you guys know hockey players, if they're able to play, oh, I just lost some teeth or I got some stitches, they're coming out. Like there was enough time left in that game. Marcus Johansson, that was like half the game left. He would have came back. They went half the game they were already down a bunch of players, and then they lose one of their more skilled wingers. And whether he doesn't score a goal, I guarantee he's probably keeping himself in good enough position to keep you from scoring a goal. Not saying but I'm not saying when you think defensive liability, Marcus Johansson's not going to come up. He's a decent two-way player. So, and he fits in good in the bottom 9 there for Minnesota, but I don't know. He might be playing top 6 for them because, dude, I saw the Oilers Nations guys, like it was a douchebag response. They're just like, oh, McDavid. Like they were almost gloating about how McDavid got away with elbowing this guy. Again, oh, he was the sell job of all sell jobs. Really? Really? What if that was the other way around and that happened to McDavid and he was legit hurt? The blood we would be calling for. Like, this is my problem. This is my problem with this. I'm not against a physical game. You guys know that. I like it. I want the older school approach. We know when it gets to the playoffs, that's the way they're going to call it anyway, especially from the second round going on forward. But, like, what are we doing? Like, this is a guy that got hit in the head. Intentional or not, none of this matters. It's a penalty, and it should have been a fine. None of all the explaining you guys are doing for your Messiah. Okay, you worship this guy and you're giving him special treatment in the NHL that he does not deserve. Okay, period. Everybody plays by the same set of rules. You fine him. I don't think nobody is saying a boo. And if Oiler fans are crying about it, they're sick in the head. So, because if it happened to one of your good players, that's what I'm saying. The hockey gods don't forget. You got some bad karma on your team now, and something's coming. Do you think the Oilers can survive a McDavid or Draisaitl injury for any length of time? I tell you, they ain't winning the Stanley Cup if one of those guys are out. I'm saying the hockey gods remember. You took a life, we're going to take a life. And it may come at the worst possible time. And I'm just saying, because I think a lot of people would be pro Oilers before the season started. Yeah, let them go win. I picked them. It'll be good. Their fans deserve it. It's been a long time. They've got a good team. And then they don't keep McLeod. They don't keep Broberg. They don't keep Holloway. It's like they're trying to not win. And then, they start off crappy again. And then you've got stuff like this. Like, if they're playing a great two-way game and it's a clean game and they win the game, like if that doesn't happen, it's like tip your hat to the Oilers. They beat a severely depleted Wild team who hung in the game, So I'm just saying, like, I thought Rangers just scored. But again, it was something I didn't even want to talk about. I should have just told you guys, like, don't bring up the McDavid elbow thing. I was over it. And I didn't really want to talk about it because the games were great tonight, man. Just to recap some of the scores. Here, let me get back to NHL. Rico did a breakdown of the Leafs earlier. You can go back and watch at the beginning. Pearlo, I don't know what you broke down because I had to step away. Whatever game
you can check it out back.
Yeah, you can just go back. And then I broke down the Capitals' victory over the Ottawa Senators in Ottawa in overtime. I thought it would have been really cool to see Chychrun score because he's been so well. Rangers can't score with their wives, and I'm a Ranger fan. Oh, sorry, Mark. I know it's been a rough year for you guys. I'm married to a Ranger fan, if you care. So I know how it's been going. Ducks Lightning was a great game. The Ducks just kept hanging in. They actually had a nice lead for a while, and then the Lightning came charging back a little bit. But Lightning went in a shootout. But if you're the Ducks, you take points on the road there. I love that from them. Like I said, Caps beat Sens in overtime. Great home win again from the Blue Jackets 4-1 of the Sharks. Like I said, they dominated that game. The Sharks weren't really in it. The Blue Jackets had 34 shots on goal. Islanders Flyers was a real chippy game, and the Islanders were winning 1-0 for a while. And then Paling got nailed by Siplikov, and they reviewed it for a major. And guess what? It wasn't a penalty, and they didn't give one. Torts was not happy, but legit, they got the call right. Again, if you just say, we're going to review this elbow to the chin as a major because we didn't see it, and you should review it. And then I think if he gets a major and a misconduct, everybody's like, oh, they're treating everybody the same way, but they didn't. So the NHL has opened up a can of worms on that one. But anyway.
Yeah, but after the Oilers game, couldn't they not just went to the Department of Player Safety and just basically said you might have a hearing?
Yeah. Yeah, he should have got fined. I think, again, $1,000 fine. Boom, bam. The fine saying give us $5. I wouldn't even ask for that.
I think you're being too.
So I don't want to bring this up again, but I don't think it was.
Yeah. Anyway, the Rangers. By the way, the Rangers just scored. So anybody that says in the chat, the Rangers scored. I'm telling you right now, the Rangers scored. It's 4-3. Okay, 4-3 Rangers. Chris, mother bleeping Kreider. Suck it. Who's saying suck it? I'm not talking trash about the Rangers. I told Johnny Lazarus he's got good karma tonight because he let me know this game was on by treating Welp.
I don't know. I think your wife might have wanted to DM you that, not put it in the chat.
No, she's saying suck it to people like who's Chris Kreider scored Avi. Yes, Chris Kreider. Isn't Chris Kreider a BC guy? Yeah, I think he's a BC guy.
We're just clipping along 14th of the year.
Oh, dude. Avi, when the Capitals and Rangers play, we call it the Divorce Cup in my house, dude. Like, and this year we dominated them. Both times we played them, so it's almost not fun. It's like picking on a handicap kid. You know, I'm not enjoying it is what I'm saying, because the Rangers are not playing up to their potential. They have been the last couple games. Last week they've been playing some good hockey, and they could probably deserve a better result against Florida. But they played some good hockey, man. And they've been winning some games, so that's good. I'm glad they're climbing back in. They're too good to not be in the mix. It's ridiculous. Yeah, look, this Oilers Avalanche game is at intermission. This is the one I'm going to get off with you guys on. So, because we only have 2 games to preview tomorrow, so that's not going to take any time. I don't know if Zibanejad has a locker room problem, Mark Brown. I haven't heard that rumor. I've got some connections inside that locker room. I don't think that's the case. I do think he gets a little disconnected from the game on the ice a little bit, but it might be ADHD or something. Who knows?
I think he's an energy problem. Like he's a guy that needs to feed off positive energy. And
yeah, I agree with that, Pearlo. Yeah, I don't think he thrives in a negative. And I don't think. By the way, I don't think Laviolette's a negative coach or anything. I think he's pretty straight. I think he's pretty easy coach to play for. Like Ovi never said one bad word about Laviolette. The Capitals fans hated him. Like the diehards, they did not like him.
I don't know why.
Well, it had to do with the development of our youth, which are now all doing really well under Spencer Carberry. So I think he would just play a vet over a younger guy, and a lot of Capitals fans rubbed him the wrong way. So, look, yeah, this is going to be a great game, 3-3. Obviously, the Avs jumped up 3-0, and the Oilers jumped out to tie it up. So it's been like 3 goals, 3 unanswered. Kings are winning 3-0. That one's halfway through. Rangers is up 4-3 with 8 minutes left to go in the third. Devils, Maple Leafs go to overtime. Leafs win. Capitals again 1-0, and then Lightning in a shootout. Red Wings, Panthers, early games 5-2. Pretty nice win for the Red Wings. Again, they've won 8 of 10 since McClellan's been in there. That's pretty good. If they keep winning at that pace, they're going to be in the top 3 in the they should play in the Central, by the way. I think we should get rid of the division. Like, I think you could move when the playoffs come. You could put whoever on whatever side of the bracket. There's a formula that would be really good to figure that out. But, like, move Nashville to the Atlantic and put Detroit in the Central. So they play Chicago. So they play Minnesota. Those are all regional rivals. And then go back to 6 divisional games. Anyway, I have a plan. We'll do a show on it in the offseason about how we would fix hockey. And then I don't know if I would get rid of the 1 through or the divisional playoff. I feel still like you got to win your division to advance. So I feel like it doesn't matter. Central would play the Central to advance, but you're obviously going to have the wild card team. So it would probably be I would probably just do it the way they do it now. Every way I look at it, I want you to have to win out your division to be that representative in the Final 4. I know that you can have a same division winner play each other in the championship if said thing happens with the wild cards. So they got Scotty Bowman. Scotty Bowman is at the Utah Hockey Club game. Wow. That's cool, man. He looks good, man. He's like 90. Oh, by the way, before I go on, legendary.
Just a bit outside.
Yeah, legendary baseball announcer for the Milwaukee Brewers. And he was on Mr. Belvedere. He was the dad. And he did a lot of Miller Lite commercials in the 80s, which I remember. Tastes great.
He's at WrestleMania 4. Didn't he get choked out by Andre the Giant or something?
He did. That video was floating around. Bob Uecker, Mr. Baseball, died, man. And I got to say, I love Major League. It's like one of my all-time favorite movies. Like, I root for the Indians, kind of. They're like my closet team, being a Dodgers fan. But I'm like, I've always had a soft spot for the Indians. So, like, of course, the Indians played the Cubs in the World Series, my wife's team, and I was like, oh yeah, Cubs go. Like, I was happy for
that was
her.
a good World Series.
That was one of the best I think it's the greatest World Series ever. 7 games. He hits that home run to tie it up. It goes to extras. It just was insane.
Rajai
it's in
Davis,
Cleveland. Yeah, and it's not like they had
Davis hit that home run.
Yeah, Rajai Davis hit that 3-run jack to tie it. And I gotta say too, like, he hit it off Miller, who's like one of the best relievers in the last decade. The guy was just money forever. He was on the Indians for a long time.
I know. I was there when they eliminated the Toronto Blue Jays on our field. I was at that playoff game when Cleveland took us in 2016.
And they've had,
Game 6.
They've had some good teams since too. They had a really good team this last year. Cleveland did, so they'll get a chance to get back. Hopefully, I'd love to see that fan base win. The Mariners too, man. Growing up in the Northwest, I would love to see the Mariners win. Big King Griffey Jr., Jay Buhner, the Boneyard. He hits one in the Boneyard. That old Dave Niehaus. My, oh my. Rest in peace, Dave Niehaus. Okay, anyway. Mariners radio broadcast guy forever, Dave Niehaus. And he had like a real high-pitched voice. It was great. So we're going to close up shop early. And it's not been early because we've been over an hour. But we have 2 games, Penguins, Sabres, Golden Knights, Hurricanes. Just give your picks real quick, and we'll call it a night. And we'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern for the College Hockey Show with me and the Degenerate Bostonian, and then NHL Nightly at 10:30 p.m. Eastern to cover these 2 games and talk. It'll be a quick show, probably less than 45 minutes, and we'll review the 15 games that are on Saturday and our final thoughts of the week.
Cool. I'll say Pittsburgh, Buffalo. I'll take the over. I'll take Buffalo at home in that game, and I'll take Vegas on the road and the under.
Sorry, I'm not laughing. My wife, who's chiming in the chat, is saying, how come you always take fans who play against your wife's team? Are you actually happily married? Sounds toxic. Just saying. Yeah, so I had my sports teams before I met my wife. So, and the Leafs too. Like I was such a big Doug Gilmour fan. I always rooted for the Leafs. So I'm a Leafs fan too. Like I could say I'm a Leafs fan too. Like, I root for the Caps, but I root for the Leafs. Like, I want to see them win. It makes me happy when they win a game like they did tonight. That was a great way to end it. Pearlo, who do you like? Real quick, Penguins, Sabres, Golden Knights, Hurricanes. I actually, by the way, love that Buffalo win against Carolina. I thought that was a nice win for them. I think they're going to maybe start climbing out of this a little bit. They got too good a team, to be quite frank, to not do it. But anyway, Pearlo, go real quick.
Yeah, I like the over and everything. Buffalo there, team total over everything. Carolina, okay. Vegas. I'll just take draw first period, and I don't know. Both of those teams are in bad shape right now.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm taking the Golden Knights at plus 130. I don't think the Canes have been playing very well, and they've had Karski in net. I think they're hurting again on goaltending. Why haven't they pulled the trigger? Get John Gibson. Get him. What are you doing? Have them retain 50%, sauce over one of the many talented young players you have, or a pick, because Anaheim will probably be taking picks. Like, you probably don't even have to – you could probably give up a second rounder at most for Gibson. And I think Anaheim would be like, sure.
If they're willing to take the whole contract. You know?
Right. If they take 50%. Carolina could take on the whole deal, because I don't think.
Yeah, but they haven't shown.
No, but
when have they ever paid a goaltender more than $4.5 million?
No, but it doesn't matter though, Pearlo, because they can take on contracts now. Like I've heard their owners say they're going to spend. I think, by the way, I'm going to tell you right now, hot take, and Nick Kypreos has said this, so I'm not going to take credit, but I'm backing him. I agree with this. I think if Mikko Rantanen goes to UFA, they're going to offer him like $15 million. Carolina, mark my words, they're going to be a player. They're salty. They lost out on Jake Gensel. Think about how good they would look with Jake Gensel in their lineup right now. Because Gensel's having a career year with obviously a very offensively talented team. And again, we killed Brisebois for what he did with Stamkos. He made the right call. We're not going to hear any of that on the radio or our favorite shows this year. Brisebois made the right decision. I think, Pearlo, you said it last, or Rico, you said it last a couple days ago on this show, didn't you? Rico, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm just trying to remember. Sometimes my mind thinks a little different from day to day, but I remember the ranting and talk going. Yeah,
you're like, anyway, okay.
Like ranting into Carolina.
No.
Yeah, if he goes to UFA, they're going to be a major player in it. Mark my words. I'm not saying they're going to get him, but I think they're going to offer him like 15 schmil. So I think that owner, Tom Dundon, if you watch the interview that Frank Saravelli did, I think he said he's willing to spend on. I think they just won't overspend. And they know what a guy, I think they value a player with their analytical stuff at a certain thing. And they know, like a Mikko Rantanen's probably worth $15 million. You know, and I'm telling you what, guys, I think Carolina is dangerously close to their window being slammed shut. I really do. I just think they've lost. I think their youth talent that they were expecting to be up is not there yet. And so I don't think that, I'm not saying they're not going to develop the Jackson Blakes and stuff. I'm not saying that these guys aren't going to come in and make a difference at some point, but they're not there right now. And they don't have the goaltending to overcome bad play, and Stahl's not getting younger. Dude, his brothers are out. He's been in the league a long time, man.
And the other kid from Barrie, Ontario on defense, it's trying to pour the rest of his career, heart and soul onto the ice so he could win a cup from the 03 draft as well, too. So, you know, Brent Burns is pouring it out there in his career trying to win a cup. And Brind'Amour, you ask Brind'Amour, why are you still contending? How are you good every year and every year? He'll tell you the first thing out of his mouth, we got Jordan Stahl. I mean, the guy is a glue in that room. Brent Burns is a glue in that room. Their window, when those guys are gone, if they don't win a cup, it's going to be a little different there.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, like, I feel like that window is like, if they don't do something drastic to add, and I'm telling you, I think it's starting to statistically prove. This is why I think people are going to look back at this format if they change it with the playoffs. And that if you're the higher seed, you have a much better chance to make it to the conference finals. You have a 25% chance to win the cup if you win the President's Trophy, but we always poo-poo it because it's like, oh, it's bad. But Chicago did it. Really good teams do it. It's just hard to maintain that level of high-level play for 7 months. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the big thing. So I just think you know, we shouldn't be discrediting anybody, but it's like, I don't know. Like,
I keep thinking Carolina's going to do it, man, in the East, and they're due.
Yeah.
Like Florida's won their cup. It's either them, New Jersey, or Toronto that's got to win one.
But Rico, you know who they could be? They could be the late 2000 Maple Leafs, who were really damn good and probably had a team that could win the Stanley Cup, especially when they had Cujo and Ed Belfour, and they had the teams, man, but they just ran into better teams. You know, they just ran into better teams that had them beat with a little bit more skill or a little bit more depth. And I think that's the case with Carolina. I think they were a better team last year. I think they were even better team 2 years before that. And yes, Jarvis is coming up. They have guys. I feel like Jarvis will be able to take Stahl's place, I think, because I think he's that good two-way. But he's not the physical behemoth that Stahl is and what he brings. He's a monster. I mean, he's like Pronger, but a center. He's a
you know what he did too is he was able to change his game too. Like all those Stahl brothers were able to change the game. When they came into the league, it was still a little bit of a clutching and grabbing, just a little less space out there. But they they changed their game and they've
All of them were
adapted.
good. I wish Mark would have won a cup. I wish Mark would have won a cup too.
He could have with Florida. He went to the final with Florida against Vegas. He was on that team.
Yeah, and I think he went to the final with the Rangers against the Kings. He was on that team. So he was in the finals a couple times. I think they're all probably borderline Hall of Famers. Borderline.
Yeah,
Jordan Staal,
but Eric is.
Yeah, but I heard today they don't think Eric will get in. But I was like, okay.
Oh. Dude.
I think his career numbers are not like mind popping, but I wouldn't have a problem with him getting in, but like look at his numbers. I don't think he has 300 career goals. So like he's a great player and he won a Stanley Cup, but I feel like just because you won a Stanley Cup doesn't entitle you to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Like if Doug Gilmour,
do you think Eric Staal was better than Joe Pavelski? Do you think Eric Staal is better than Pavelski?
No. Look at the number of goals. No, because look at the big goals Pavelski scored. Now, look, I know Staal won the one cup, but it was early in his career. They never even really got that close. Again, they've kind of been a second round and out team. I know they made a couple conference finals. Did they make one against Tampa? But Tampa was already, by then, they were the juggernaut. So the Caps kind of got theirs in, and they needed to because their core was starting to get old anyway. So if they didn't win it that year, and I thought they could have won it again in 19, but I thought we got unlucky with Fogle checking TJ Oshie to the boards. He broke his collarbone, and the Caps just didn't have the depth to overcome it. So, but anyway.
Well, that's a fine line, right? Between Hall of Famers and non-Hall of Famers. You got Pavelski on that line right now. You got Eric Staal on that line.
So somebody told me if you have to think about it, they're not. So like Ovi, Crosby, McDavid, If you have to think about it, should they be in? You know what I'm saying? And I just think, who are the best players do you remember? Like Makar, he's going in. Quinn Hughes going in. Jack Hughes going in. Austin Matthews going in. Mitch Marner probably going in. If these guys have long careers, right, and they do what we think they're capable of doing, those guys are all going to be in the Hall of Fame. But you know what I'm saying? If you're like, oh, Zygmunt Palffy, oh, I love that guy, but he's probably not a Hall of Famer. But, you know, I think Peter Bondra, Hall of Famer, should be in the Hall of Fame. Was one of the best players, and he was on, you know, a pretty not talented Caps team for a lot of his career. So very much like Ovechkin came up, but they had the one guy. And then Adam Oates, you know, who's a hell of a player. And Adam Oates, Hall of Famer. Like, boom. Like, yes. No question. So I think the Rangers might have scored again because I'm hearing my wife cheer, so she's probably ahead just a little bit. So it still says 4-3, but it's an empty net for the Utah Hockey Club. And the Utah Hockey Club's lost some tough ones, but this is a nice win for the Rangers too. They're playing good, and they deserve some to get back kind of in this. It'll be good. I mean, it's just not the same if the Rangers are not in it. Ooh, damn. That was borderline like penalty. So I don't know. Maybe they did not score. Okay. Anyway, I'm still waiting for the Hall of Fame to let Tkachuk in. Yeah, I don't think he's going to get in, but I think he should be in. I think he should be in easy. If you get 500 career goals and you're the type of player that Keith Tkachuk was, and I just remember him being dominant. Like he had 50 goal seasons in the clutch and grab. Like that guy was awesome. And he did all his work around the blue. Like that dude did not score a lot of goals from far off. Like in his early career, but when he started to like slow down and put on the, you know, I think Tkachuk, like he's a big man now, you know, like, but by the time he retired, he was already starting to get big. So, I love Keith Tkachuk. He's like one of my being an American, he's like one of my all-time favorites. So it's just, I naturally was like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm rooting for his kids. So like tonight, I would not have been sad if Brady Tkachuk scored. Sure as a hell a lot better, goes down better with little Ovi breaking an NHL record. And he's 21 away from passing the great one, man. It's going to happen, I think, sometime in March. I'm going to try to go. We'll see. It's going to be a hard ticket to get, but I want to be there if it happens. So, oh, yeah, she said that they did not score. Okay. All right. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is, 10 o'clock No, 11 o'clock Eastern or Pacific Standard. The College Hockey Show, me and the Degenerate Bostonian, we got to go over the pairwise. There was a big upset. So teams have moved around. Michigan State is now number 1 in both polls. So that's some stuff. And then Rico and Pearlo and I will be live for a very short show tomorrow night after the 2 games. So you guys want to go early? You want to do a 10 o'clock?
Yeah, okay.
10 o'clock's better?
Sure.
Okay, we could do 10, yes. And Rangers did score 5-3. Panarin put in another one, so they have iced this game. But good on Utah for sticking in there. So okay. Thanks everybody. We'll see you. Appreciate everybody coming out. We had a pretty large number of people in the chat, so it was great to see everybody. Good to see Salty back. We had a bunch of new people, so tried to talk to most of them. We had a good fun show. They probably left after my McDavid rant. So anyway, have a good one. Enjoy the third period of the Tide, Edmonton Oilers, Colorado Avalanche. That should be a heck of a game. We had a bunch of great games today. Peace out. See you, everybody.